PR Connections Radio presents.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be interviewing MarQue Munday. She is an amazing individual, and I'm excited to have her introduce herself to you guys today.
Well, thank you, Basma, and thank you for having me on the Business of Giving podcast, PR Connections Radio. I love it. I think that is so amazing. Well, as you said, my name is MarQue Munday, and I do a couple of different things. Right now, I do hold the title of Classic Universe Woman 2023-24. That's an international title, or as they would say, world title. I'm a former Radio City Music Hall Rockette from New York City, and I've been out here in Las Vegas for almost 30 years, so just shy of 30 years. Most recently, I'm working with Juneteenth, Nevada as the director for Miss Juneteenth, Nevada. I did a pageant myself so that I could learn how pageant systems work. And our system is a scholarship program, but it's very nice to be able to give back to the community. As well, I do have a nonprofit of my own, which is called Witness Performing Arts. And that started by teaching children dance from both the biblical and technical aspects of dance. And now we do a mentorship, and we're rolling that right into the Juneteenth Nevada program by having a Juneteenth Performing Arts program. So, I mean, there's a bunch of other things, but I think that can get us started right now.
Yeah, you did an amazing job introducing us all to everything that you've been working on. And I like that you mentioned the thing that you're doing that's helping the community as well. And that you know how to dance then.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. What kind of dance is your favorite?
Ballet truly is the favorite in my heart because it is the foundation of dance. I am not a prima ballerina, and you probably won't see me do that much, but as long as I continue to train myself and do my ballet bars, I am still able to go out and have a good time just freestyle dancing.
And how long were you doing ballet for? So you said are you not professional ballet, but you love ballet? Is that what you said?
Well, I was a professional dancer for 30 years.
Okay.
I still do move. The Radio City Music Hall Rockettes are from New York City. They are the longest standing precision dance troupe in the world. So I started training when I was 3 years old. And as any dancer, we do always train so that we can move and keep our bodies agile.
I took ballet before, and my ballet teacher went nuts because she was like, "Oh, your toes, you can do the perfect point." Because a lot of ballet dancers, they have a hard time working on getting their point for their toes to point perfectly. It's like something you're either born with or you have to work really hard to get.
And there you got it. Sometimes you're born with it, which is really great. I wasn't. I have flat feet. I call them Flintstone feet. So I had to work really hard.
Yeah. It's either born with it or you got to work really, really hard. And it's extreme because then you're changing like a part of your body to be shaped differently. And then that could also be very painful sometimes too.
Absolutely.
Can you share with us a little bit more about your journey, especially your experiences as one of the first African-American Rockettes that you mentioned earlier at the Radio City Music Hall in New York?
Yes, and thank you for asking. As a dancer, one of the things that you train and ascribe to do is to either be in a dance company or, like myself, my teachers trained to be Rockettes. So that was something that in my sight line as a child just seemed like the normal thing to do. Back in the 1990, around 1992, when I was hired, it still had not had a full integration on the line. The Rockettes came out in 1932 at Radio City Music Hall. They started as the Missouri Rockets, but the whole idea of Russell Market was to have his dancing dolls, as he called them, and like a porcelain doll, they all look exactly the same. So no one was allowed to tan, whatever your cultural background was, because the whole desire was for everyone to look exactly alike. They did break the color line with their first African American in 1987, I believe it was. And believe just previous to that, they did have their first Latino and their first Asian. Of course, in 1992, when I came on the line, the New York Times actually
2 years
posted,
later only?
again, please.
Well, it was only 2 years later?
Yes.
Because you started it in 1990, so then 19 is that normal for it only to take 2 years, or were you just extremely uh,
I think there's a misconception. Let's go back, because the first African American was brought on in 87, and then in 1992 I came on the line. So
okay?
previous to me coming on the line, they also had integrated with a Latino and Asian.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay. Okay.
the line was slowly integrated, but in 1992, when I came on the line, the New York Times posted that the line was still all Caucasian, because Radio City being such a large stage, when the lights hit, you're washed out. So they couldn't even tell that there were other ethnicities in the line.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't know much about it, so I was curious. Okay. Okay. Continue. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
I mean, once you do get on the line as a Rockette, it is rigorous training. You're an athlete, so you
Mhm.
are keeping yourself in the best possible shape. We had a very rigorous schedule. I did, at one point, they wanted to see if we could last to do 6 shows a day. They did that for 1 year, and then they didn't do it again. The top is 5 shows a day. And then shortly after, they put 2 casts. So they double cast it. So some would do 2 and then 3, and then the following would be 3 and then 2, just so that they weren't burning out their dancers, and because injuries do happen when you're continuously doing the same thing over and over. And of course, the Christmas show runs from just the beginning of November, like the end of October into November, into beginning and mid January. So that's the time frame. And so at that point, you're just like a time clock, just going, 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 going. So it was.
So,
Uh-huh.
go
No,
ahead. So
no.
the shows, you said that they used to do 6, and then burnout happened, then they moved it to 5 shows. And well, I have 2 questions here, but the first one is, at 5, there's still probably some burnout going, because like they found out 6 was too much. Was that like because a lot of dancers were getting burnout, and then now 5 is probably like a few dancers here and there?
You do have to remember that the Christmas spectacular is exactly that, a spectacle. And in the Christmas show in New York, you have live animals that are involved, because we do a full nativity scene. You have a full backstage group of people, all your stage hands. You have the elevators, everything that's moving, all the moving parts, including the house. So to turn
Right.
it around 6 times with that
Right.
many moving parts, too
I
much.
still think 5 is too much.
Well, they had 5 on that rotation. It was 9, 12, 3, 6, 9. So 9 a.m.,
Wow.
12 p.m., 3, 6, and 9. So, and then of
Yeah.
course, so adding that 6th show in really it tipped the scales just a little bit too far.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like at 5 too, anything can happen, because in show business, the smallest thing can mess everything up, and you never know. So having
Right. And
4 shows.
yeah,
Go ahead, sorry.
with animals, that was, it's
Yeah.
the human factor is one thing, but then when you add the animals in, they felt, yeah, it was too much.
Yeah. That's amazing. By the way, you look beautiful today. I forgot to tell you that.
No, thank you. I have to follow my lead. You're a beautiful host.
Oh, no, stop. Well, okay, so let me know more about this show. And because is it just a show, or do they do other things as well?
The Rockettes at Radio City Music Hall?
Yeah, for those who don't know,
Oh,
I'm one of those, by the way.
Radio City Music Hall has been around since 1932, and the Rockettes actually started when they had movies, and they would be the entertainment in between the movies at the theater. And so we're talking about back during the Great Depression. Up to this day and time, the Rockettes have been a part of the Super Bowl. We've been out to Graceland, which is Elvis Presley's place. We've had Coney shows all around the country. So during the Christmas season, that is the big spectacular. But right here in Las Vegas, we had a show at the Flamingo Hilton that ran for 5 years, which was how I came out. That was a touring show that landed here in Las Vegas and ran from 1995 to 2000. We did have an Easter show that also ran annually at the Hall back in New York. They did stop the Easter show, but we do still have Christmas in July and a lot of other small events that the ladies are privy to perform in throughout the year.
Okay. For your performances, when you started as a performer and then you started growing and you started being part of big events like that, is that what was the factor that inspired you to be part of the performing arts, the witness performing arts? Creating that, because you established that. So how does it contribute to nurturing young talents through the performing arts right now? And what is it that got you to want to start it in the first place?
Okay, so as a child growing up, my first inclination that showbiz or being a performer was going to be my career was seeing Good Times on TV. I saw Janet Jackson as Penny on Good Times and thought, Mom, do they live there? She said, no, I was 8 years old. And that sparked the understanding that that was the career I wanted to have. So then fast forward, you go to school, you go to college, you graduate. When I graduated college, I came back to New York, which is where I was born and raised, and Broadway was the aspiration. My teachers were Rockettes or had aspired to be Rockettes. And so when that audition opened up, I took that opportunity. To roll forward, I was a musical theater major. I toured Europe. I got a call while I was in Europe to become one of the Rockettes in the Christmas show because I had done the audition months before. And I left that tour, went back to New York. I did 3 Christmas shows. They had the tour, and the tour ended in Vegas, and they needed someone to come here. Once I got to Vegas, I felt like that's it. This is where I definitely want to put some roots down and stay here. As a performer, there were many opportunities, shows all over the Strip,
Right.
just things that you could get involved in. And you could work past what we call your prime, because as we know, dancers, their lifespan is usually about into their 20s, but that's it. And with a show, and a Las Vegas show, because these shows are variety shows and you have all different types of entertainment, of course, this was very alluring to me. And I said, yes, I definitely wanted to stay. During that time, noticing that in the community, I'm a Christian, so going to church, there were also dance ministries and things. And I thought, okay, some of these people need a little bit of training. We study to show ourselves approved. So I offered my help. My girlfriend was teaching a class. She needed a sub. And I offered my help. I said, sure, I'll do the class for you. She winded up moving in another direction. I winded up taking over the class. It was at a rec center, and they said, hey, will you partner with us? You'll have to start a business. And that's where Witness Performing Arts was birthed. I was working at the rec centers, helping the children. And I winded up at the Neighborhood Rec Center and Silver Mesa Rec Center. And that was back in just past the millennium, just past 2000. And began teaching at the rec center and continued to perform and teach at the rec center, grow and build a really nice little program for them. And then I went out on my own and continued where I could see that the need in the community. People don't really understand the cognitive results of being a dancer. The fact that you can, when you circle your head and tap at the same time. So people are like, oh, I can't do that. I can't walk and chew gum. These are cognitive skills that help your brain. And so with children, just the fact that you can stand on the little dot on the floor or the little X that's made for you for a minute gives you attention span and works on your cognitive understanding and helps you as you continue to develop and grow reading. Just movements when you're doing opposition help you with comprehension. And so myself digging into this, I thought, this is something that's really going to help our community. It's going to help our children. As we've continued with technology, and now the children are playing video games and you're stuck on screens.
Right.
This is kind of it, that rolls it back. Back when I started teaching, we didn't have so much of that. But now, as we do have that, a way to offset and to help them is to put them into activities like dance classes or teach them instruments, because those are the things that bring their, give their brain neurological sensories that start to tap in, that they actually learn, comprehend, and grow.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because those are foundational elements that they can use to grow themselves as. Plus, they'll be thankful to it in the future as well. Honestly, anything that they learn when they're young, like for example, it's like almost like learning a new language. If you're younger and then you're learning it when you get older, and you have those skills already built and the foundation already there. I'm surprised that you started out in New York and then you moved over here to Vegas and then found yourself creating the Witness Performing Arts Incorporation. I found it created in a totally other state. It's like you left New York to start your career, and your career, you worked really hard to get that started too, I'm sure, because starting a business is scary sometimes, and having the consistency to keep it going. And I love that you found it in the church, because the church does offer a lot of opportunities for teaching the young and teaching anybody who really wants to learn anything like piano or even dance and anything performing arts wise. And I think that's beautiful that you started out helping the community and it turned into its own thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. Yes.
So you have your own coaches when you were younger, and then you learned from them and you started to give those lessons to your students. So when it comes to your coaching style, for your coaching program, the program you have, the Discover and Live Your Dream Life program, that one focuses on empowering individuals. Can you elaborate for me on the key principles or messages that you share with people that are trying to follow their dreams as well?
Yes, well, I think one of the first components for me works with your belief system. And because there are so many opportunities out there, but so many deterrents to you reaching the things that you aspire to do, the first thing is your belief. And with your belief comes what I look at as your spiritual system. So my book, 7 Steps to Discovering and Living Your Dream Life, helped to walk you through a 7-step process for you to get there. In those 7 steps, number 1 is your spirituality. As we walk through the steps, we do come to a component that is your belief. Because if you don't believe that you can achieve, you won't. It doesn't matter what I believe for you. When you are stopping that process, it's not going to happen. I believe the quote was Henry Ford, who said, if you can or if you can't, you're right.
Right. I completely 100% agree with you on that. Did you say there was another one that you wanted to share aside from the belief, or is it just the beliefs that you focus primarily on?
Well, in the 7 steps, belief is that first portion. When after you are believing, you walk through, one of the major points is to make the contract with yourself. Because now you have your spirituality and your belief, but you make that contract. When you go buy a car, they have you sign a contract, and that contract says you're going to make that monthly payment. Well, what's the difference if you have a goal, dream, aspiration, or desire that you're trying to reach? If you write the contract and make sure you don't renege, don't bankrupt yourself, don't renege on it, you'll actually get there. There are a couple of books that I, as a coach for myself, looked at. You have John Maxwell has the 360-degree leader that helps you lead from any point of an organization that you're at, which is really, really great. And then my time management is a book called The 12-Week Year. And that book gives you 3 opportunities in 1 year to get your stuff done. So in 1 year, you can get 3 years worth of stuff done by following that system. So you just continuously coach yourself. And of course, I do still have mentors that I check in with just to make sure I'm staying on track, because you need an accountability partner. And so as a coach, that's what I become. I become your accountability partner.
Yep. And I completely agree with that, because it's one thing when you're trying to set a goal, but it's another thing when you're trying to be consistent at it. Having that person there for you
Yep.
helps a tremendous amount. And so I'm thank you to anybody who's out there that has tried to complete something and always found some type of obstacle. That's what she's for. She's there to help you through those obstacles, mental blocks or actual life blocks, any type of that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
My book is on Amazon, so they can go to Amazon and look up MarQue Munday and find my books there. And of course, the book has a workshop in it. So it has workshop pages in it. And then, of course, I just come alongside to make sure, like we just said, you have an accountability partner going. Did you get there?
I love that. On this, it's really a difficult task to do something, and then it's kind of like when you sign up for a class, you're held accountable to go. When you're paying for something, you're like, I paid money, I better go. You're like, if I don't go, I just wasted money. Or
exactly.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy this. It's gonna help me. She's gonna give me the tips and tricks, because we shouldn't be breaking promises to ourselves in the first place. We end up doing it because life. But you know what? We shouldn't be doing it because we don't break promises to people in our life. So we should. Yep, I agree.
That's correct. The gym membership.
Yeah, that's another one. That's funny. That's a good one. I don't know how many times I've signed up for a gym membership and just canceled it right after getting it. And then they give you that fee where you have to pay $60 or $100 just to cancel it. And then you're like, well, it happened.
How many people don't even cancel it? They just don't go.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point.
That's the other one.
Here for those people. Just joking. Any type of promise is important. As the director of Miss Juneteenth, do you want to talk a little bit more about that and the scholarship program that you were also working on as well?
Yes. Miss Juneteenth Nevada right now is the closest. It's near and dear to my heart. It's probably what I'm working on the most. It's our young ladies between the ages of 14 and 19 years old, and they must just be connected somehow to African descent or Black history, Black descent. So we want to teach them their history and give them that rich understanding of where they've come from, what contributions they have made to America in a general sense. And also, as they're going through this process, they're learning their etiquette, they're learning entrepreneurship, business skills. All of these things go together in the process in a pageant. And so I leave that word off till the very end because it's when they're standing on stage. So I actually do a media coaching with them so that they do understand how to do interviews, how to public speak, how to walk across the stage. So they're getting all of those components in. And just that sidebar that we do have the Juneteenth Performing Arts Program. So we kind of couple all of that together so that they can, and I don't like to use the word compete, but it is a narrowing down of who would best be fit to be crowned as Miss Juneteenth. And they do get a scholarship that they can utilize for higher education.
Wow.
I use the higher education so that we would love for them to go to college, but if you wanted to go to cosmetology school or culinary school, those are viable trades that they can use the scholarship money for. And the money does go to the school. So if they're not quite ready for college, so let's say we had a 16-year-old and you still had a few years left for high school, that money would be there when you're ready to move on to that higher education.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. That's like the college readiness programs. I think there's another or a scholarship. It's basically that's the whole scholarship. They hold it for them until they're ready for college.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
so
go ahead.
Just paying it forward, it's really important that we do know our history, and so much of it has been told incorrectly, and now you have to go back and right that wrong.
Right.
And one of the things I say is Okay, you remember when they said Paul Revere came riding in on the horse, the British are coming, the British are coming. That's not true. And that's what they've sold as American history. So with our Black history, we've got a lot of things to dispel and to really set right, set those wrongs right for our community and for them to understand the importance of their ancestors and how
Yes.
much, like when we're talking about voting, we're at an election year, so it's time to get out there. Your voice needs to be heard. Do not sit back and let that time pass. Use your voice. Get out there. Vote. So it's a big deal. And now that we have our Juneteenth holiday, we have both a national and federal holiday. We fought really hard and long. It took over 27 years to get those bills passed, but we do have them now, and we need to exercise them.
I love that, and I love that you want the young adults to be connected to their culture as well. Because I'm a Lebanese American, born and raised in America. I feel like there's parts of my culture that I also lost growing up, so that I'm trying to like get back with. So I understand the importance of that completely, and I look up to that a lot. I really love it. I love that. I love the whole thing. And then you're also teaching them how to be young women, because that's hard too. In a world where you gotta think like a man to be successful sometimes.
Yes, yes. Which brings it. This month for January, we have something called a Juneteenth calendar, and it has a bunch of our history in it. And this month we are highlighting two women, two Black women. One is Willa Beatrice Brown, and the other one is Bessie Coleman. Now, both of these women are recognized as Black women, African American women, but Bessie Coleman also had connection to Native American culture. The catalyst for these two are that they were firsts in obtaining a pilot's license in their culture, which is huge.
That is big.
They
That is
were both
big.
they were both pilots. And so I do work in aviation right now. I'm a flight attendant as my bread and butter. We still have a deficit in that market, in that business. We do have women pilots, but not to the magnitude of obviously men. So we are continuing to grow, and it's things like that. So when we look at our calendar and our young ladies are feeling like, oh, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. Look at that calendar and look at some of the things that these women have done. They are
Right.
amazing. Willow was not just a pilot; she was also had the license of a mechanic, and just many other attributes that she was involved in: civil rights, lobbyist, Congress, first woman to run in Congress. There was so much, and we miss those things for life, for daily life. We miss.
I love how supportive you are of their accomplishments, and you yourself have so many accomplishments because you've graced the stages of international places. You were a singer, you were a dancer, you were a choreographer. You were crowned Classic Universe Woman, right?
Yeah.
That was in 2023. That was actually recent.
Well, I still hold the title now. My crown and my sash are there, so I will actually pass that off in July. So I'm still the reigning queen, and working in the community. That pageant system, Classic Universe Woman, is for adult women 30 and above. And one of the biggest things they look at is the sisterhood and women empowering women. Basa, for as long as we live on this earth, I can never be you. So why not celebrate who you are? It doesn't hurt me, it helps you. And so that's what we as women have to do. We have to embrace that sisterhood with each other and celebrate the things, the wins, and
Yes.
encourage you to reach the goals that you have and continue to encourage you to push forward. And you may have other desires that you want to do. Why not? Go
Completely
for it.
agree. Completely agree. Speaking of pushing forward, looking ahead, what are your future goals and aspirations, both personally and professionally? Is there anything you want us to know about you that you're doing currently that you'd like the community to support?
Well, I still am a performer. And so I do still have my own, I would like to do Broadway.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna be there with you. I'm gonna be on the stage, or I'm gonna be in the crowd watching you, and I'm like,
and
empower women.
It's nice for me within myself to go, yeah, I haven't done this before, so I'd like to do this. I haven't parasailed yet. I started surfing last year.
What?
I started surfing last year.
Oh, no way. That's kind of scary sometimes.
It is
scary. Yeah.
We just have to continue to keep our sight lines open and available to see. I'm not a hiker, but I went hiking. And so I do. For career-wise, performance-wise, there are still stages that I would like to grace, cameras that I'd like to be in front of. And personally, I'd like to clean my house.
That's a good play. That's a good thing, because then it brings you peace of mind. Speaking of people, of you being on Broadway, do you have a social media account that people can follow you on to learn more about you? Because it looks like we're getting towards the end of our interview today, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to contact you and support the things that you're working on before we head out.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, I am on Facebook, MarQue Munday. That's MarQue, Monday with a U, Munday. Also on Instagram, also on Twitter, NYC_MarQue. Also on LinkedIn, MarQue Munday. I'm on TikTok, MarQue Munday. I'm on YouTube, MarQue Munday. And then for Juneteenth, it's Miss Juneteenth Nevada. And you can find that both on Facebook, on Instagram, and we do now have our YouTube up for that as well, all things Juneteenth. So, yep, my social media. Of course, Classic Universe Woman, you can get those links to between my page and that. So,
or even on our pages. You guys can check out our pages. We'll have her links as well down below. Thank you so much. You've been so organized. You're very step-by-step. I love that you are a woman of action, okay? Because it's difficult for us to get going, but you're not only get going, you are also bringing us with you and taking us along on the journey and making sure that we find our way as well. And I love that about you. I love everything that you're working on. I think that you're doing an amazing job, and you are an extremely inspirational person, 100%, hands down.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. And thank you for doing such a fantastic job and having a platform to showcase others.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we hope to see you guys next time.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.